I'm Todd Marks, the CEO of Mindgrub Technologies, a company I started in my basement 7 years ago. That's now a technology innovation agency focused on producing mobile, social, web apps, and games, and now starting to venture into digital marketing. In 2005, when Windows Mobile came out, I had a good friend of mine and we loved to talk strategy. We were watching the movie Minority Report. And at the time, there's a scene where Tom Cruise takes the eyeball out of this physician because he has to get through a retina scan. But then he's running through a mall and he goes by Gap. And Gap does a retina scan and says, hey, I think it's Dr. Smith or Jones or something, we have your blue shirt. So we're watching this and we love to watch, Hollywood movies, which are great in terms of, flying cars and stuff, right? And really pick it apart and say, is that a technology that's going to take off? Is it feasible? Well, we thought there's no way Gap's going to have your retinal information, but definitively you will go by Gap, and at some point you will be able to query their inventory and know if there's a shirt that matches your shirt size. But then we thought through it. Windows Mobile just came out. We thought, wow, a phone that's connected to the internet. Really, the Windows smartphone was the first that was really connected to the internet. You could bring it in. So we thought that phone just needs to know that you're outside of Gap. Gap needs to expose their inventory as an API that you can query. You need to have personal, preferences that I, wear a, 16.5 shirt, and then I can query and I can know that a shirt is in there for me. And how is that going to happen? At the time, it was GPS. So we created a company called Spencer & Marks, and we focused, our first product was Via Place. We made a prototype with Windows Mobile, working out of my basement in Owella. We went down to historic Ellicott City. We loaded in our database all the points of interest in Ellicott City, and we thought we're going to be millionaires, right? And we're standing at the bottom of Ellicott City, and GPS was telling us that we were at the top of the street. And it was an absolute non-starter. We had no idea what an urban canyon was at the time, but we tried to do it. Windows Mobile was also a non-starter. It wasn't really disruptive. So that company kind of, fizzled out, and I had to go work for, another company. But then in 2008, when the iPhone came out, I knew it was another opportunity. So I quit my job in New York originally to grow this company, Via Place. But the opportunities we got were making custom apps at the time and not implementing this location-based services framework. And then Via Place, the product became Via Place LLC, which was always a second company of mine. And Mindgrub, ended up growing larger because it was services-based. It's a little easier growth model on services than product. But Via Place is now getting legs and actually has a dedicated business development lead for Via Place. And then I spun out a couple other companies too in this whole mix. Mindgrub Games is a company focused on mobile games. And then we have an education conference as well, going back to my roots, called EDIS, which is the Education Technology Innovation Summit. So there's really these 4 different businesses, and then now really a 5th, Mindgrub Solutions, which is our current container for the Forethought merger. To be a holding company for that until the dust settles, and then we can pull them into Mindgrub Technologies, which is the largest of the entities. Those like 4 to 10-man companies right now are really in our sights. As soon as you get to we're only in the 50s, so if we were to get a bigger company, then I'm gonna, I'd have multiple partners. I might end up having to take investment capital, and that's a lot of change. That's a cultural changes by merging 2 distinct cultures probably at that point. It's having to make sure that there's some investment capital to help with that acquisition because it's bigger. There's more of an initial payout that I might not already have in the bank. So that gets a little more complicated. It's certainly on the horizon to do some bigger acquisitions, but we either need to build up our war chest or take on some venture capital first. So right now our sights are on the smaller companies that we don't need to have venture, and we can do it with the money in the bank.